Hey, welcome to the first layer. My name's Richard, and that guy over there is not with us today. Brian's not with us. He had something come up this morning that prevents him from being on the show today. So let me just go to this one right here. Last week, as you guys all know, we drew a winner on Ask for Help for our very first mystery box. The unfortunate part is that that winner never contacted me. Not on Facebook, not on YouTube. So I still have that prize available. So as I said, if they hadn't contacted me in 48 hours, I was going to go ahead and draw another name. So that's what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to draw another name, and I wanted to do it live with you guys. We've got 16 of you. Hey, go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. It really helps our metrics. I want to say hi to everybody in our chat today and are watching live. I also want to say hi to those of you that may be watching this later on because you can't catch it live. And let's go ahead. Let's draw another name. So let's go over here and hit that start button. Boom. And we're going to go through. Who's it going to land on? Ben E. Brady.
No.
Ben Brady, you are the winner of our first mystery box. Ben, you're going to have to get in touch with me. I will need your address. I will also need your shirt size. So, yes. Hey, there's my brother Raymond. He is in the house today. So Ben E. Brady is our winner on our second drawing of our first box. So Ben Brady, congratulations. You are the winner of our very first mystery box. So Ben, I see that you're in the chat now. Drop me an email or drop me a private message. I need your address and your shirt size, please. Because yes, there is a shirt in the mystery box. So everybody say congrats to Ben, and we're going to draw another one live next Sunday for our second box. All right, let's get off that one. Let's go on to this one here. There we go. Oh, you forgot Jess. You have to say thank you to Jess too, Ben, by the way. Now, Jerry's over there. She's going to be taking care of our chat today. She's going to be putting up all of the really cool stuff. So, Ben, you know how to get in touch with me. So get in touch with me. I need all the details so I can get this box sent out to you, okay? Another quick announcement for those friends of ours that are watching from the U.S. that like Matter 3D. I just got a message this morning from Aman, the president of Matter 3D, and he says, hey guys, we have free shipping into the U.S. for orders greater than $35 moving forward. So free shipping on orders from Matter 3D over $35. And you guys should check that out. We want to thank Matter 3D for all of their help in their support of our program, both the live and the other program. So what happened yesterday? Why didn't the members get their new video on Friday night, and why didn't the regular people get theirs yesterday? Well, Friday, as I was getting ready to finish up the video, I developed a migraine. The weather's been kind of weird here last couple of days, and it was off and on all through Saturday late evening. And today I'm fine. I just have a bit of a headache. That's it. But other than that, that's why it didn't come out. It will be coming out tomorrow for members, the new video, which we're talking about resin printing. Hang on. This is the figure that we resin printed. Get my fat head out of the way. There we go. You guys can see that. So we're going to be talking about resin printing. I just have to finish up the little bit that we are going on, and then the episode will drop tomorrow. This is from Peter Webster. Can anyone who can offer help on working out why my new CR10 Smart has gained issues? Well, we need to know what those issues are in order for us to be able to help you work through them, Peter. I don't have the new Smart. I don't know very many people that do, but I'm sure if you post some of the issues you're having, there's probably common issues, and we can probably work them out for you. All right. So, anybody else? No. Accord says he can relate to my issues. Hey, there's Pierre. Afternoon from Edmonton. Hello, Pierre. Yes, I want to again say congratulations to Benny Brady, who has been a longtime supporter of this program and is a longtime member of our Facebook community as well. And congratulations to you. You got some cool stuff coming your way. And then you got to take pictures of them and post it on Facebook when you get it. Okay, there's a great question from Isaac Timmer. There we go. He says, anyone can tell me why my first layer is a ghost layer on my Ender 3. The rest of the print goes fine. Is it very thin? Can you see underneath that first layer? If you can, your first layer is too close to the bed. The problem that we get into is when you're adjusting the height or the offset for this, if you are too close to the bed, what's going to happen is you will get a very, very thin line. And that will be it'll be thin in the center with darker edge around it. And that's because you're too close to the bed. Now, that can do several things on your Ender 3 and any printer. It can dig into the bed material and cause you not to have a very good bed adhesion as you go down the road. So what I would do, Isaac, is I would go ahead and re-level the bed using a standard piece of paper or a Post-it note. Get it down to where it's just grabbing that nozzle. You want to be able to move that paper back and forth. You want to be able to feel a little bit of the friction of the tip of the nozzle between the paper and the bed. Once you're there, you're set. You should be fine. All right. Okay, back to Peter. Peter Webster, he says, I was printing amazing at first, then all of a sudden it prints great up to a couple of inches, then it stops extruding and just carries on as if all well, but no filament extruding. Now, is that jamming in the same space? Are you getting a clicking noise from the extruder? If you are, it could be that you have too much retraction set on the nozzle, and that's that distance that it pulls the material back up into the hot end, okay? I'm going to actually print out another really big hot end to be able to show you guys this really easily. But what's happening is if you've got too much retraction, it's getting up into that cold zone, which is right in there, and it is solidifying, so you're getting jamming at that point. Now, if it's printing to the same height every time on the model that you're printing, I would try a different model and see if it happens on that. Because sometimes models don't translate well, especially if you've gotten them off of Thingiverse or one of the other, I'm not going to say low quality sites, but non-STL checked sites. Okay? That should help that problem a little bit. All right. Jamie Santiago, hello from Cleveland, Ohio. Well, I'm Cleveland from Alberta. He says, I have a longer LK1 printer and have been getting some layer shifting. What are some of the causes that I can look for? Thanks. First and foremost, you want to look for speed. You want to make sure that there's no slack in any of the belts, because if there's slack in the belts, you're going to get that shifting. Secondly, you want to make sure that all of the wheels on the longer are all nice and snug towards the bars. So there's a little wrench that came with the longer. I haven't had a longer in this studio for well over a year now, but I did have the LK1, and definitely you want to make sure that you've got everything set right. Just go through and do a quick maintenance on the whole thing. Check the belts, see if they're tight enough. If not, adjust the belt. Alrighty. Another question. Oh, Jerry, I just pushed that one back. See, this is from Larry. I was wondering what's the best temperature nozzle and build plate for PLA. Thanks. Larry, that's all going to depend on where you are in the world. Secondly, it's going to depend on what PLA brand you're using. First and foremost, I recommend that everybody do a temperature tower, and I had one here, but I don't have one here now. Anyway, do a temperature tower, and if you're looking for a temperature tower, you can go back. There is a video on our channel that takes you right back to the basics in doing that temperature tower. Where you should probably start is at 50 on the bed and 200 on the nozzle. I run mine here in Canada. I'm up in a very dry climate. So right now I run my bed at 60 degrees, and I usually run my temperature anywhere between 205 on the nozzle and 225 on the nozzle, depending on the material that I'm using. If I'm using material from our favorite sponsor, Matter 3D, I usually have this up around 215 on the nozzle, but that's just their material. Any other material, I'm usually down around 205. Hopefully that helped. Is there another one, Jay? Oh, there is. Okay. Peter Webster, I've got no clicking on the extrudes and checked all clear, and different models stop at different heights. So different models are stopping at different heights. So there is definitely, that would tell me that you have a retraction issue. When you heat that up, yes, it's going to push back through, but if there's some other junk in there, remind me again what printer you have, Peter. And then I think you said you had is it an Ender 3? No, that's Isaac who has the Ender 3. A CR10 Smart. What I would do is check in your firmware, or not your firmware, but your slicer, and just go and check where retraction is, and just make sure that retraction is dialed down a little bit lower than what it should be by default. And that should solve some of your problems. Yeah, hopefully. All right, so this week's episode that you guys are going to get on Monday, which should have came out yesterday, is all about resin. We're going to take you through the baby steps. So we're going to show you how we import a model. We're not going to go through all of the different settings on that. We're going to kind of do the Cole's Notes version, and then we're going to break it down later on where we get into the meat of the software. We get into cleaning the resin, and we're going to talk all about that in an upcoming episode. Ben says, thanks for being a sponsor, Matter 3D. Yes, Matter 3D, great bunch of guys out there. I will be out in Victoria on the 30th and 31st of this month. So we'll be doing the live show from Victoria, BC, out at the Matter 3D plant. And I'm getting an exclusive tour, and you guys are going to come along for the ride. So that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. So get your questions. We do have Super Chat turned on. I would appreciate it if you'd use it. It helps me a lot. It helps the channel. If you want to get your questions to the front of the line, that's a good way to do it. We also acknowledge you. And if you're not a member yet and you're thinking about it, there is a join button down below. Please go ahead and take a look. If nothing else, just take a look at it. Leave us a like for sure on the video today. And also leave a comment after the video, because that goes to helping our metrics, which means more people are going to get to see our program. We have now crossed the 29,000 viewers or 29,000 subscribers mark on YouTube for subscribers. We are working our way to 30,000. I hope to hit that before the end of the year. It would be really nice. And if we do, then we might be giving something cool away. Okay, we got one there from Isaac Timmer again. He says, still on Ender 3, how do I get my supports off easier? They like to fight me. Yes. I have a whole video on support. Supports are tough. to get off if you don't do them right. I've done a complete video on using supports in Cura, so if you go and check that out, usually what you want to do is just add a little bit of extra space between the support and the model, and it's not much. Like, I mean, you're doing maybe a 50th or a 50th micron distance at most, so that they'll peel away easier. Accord XTC, thank you very much. No question, he says. TFL is awesome. That is all. Thank you very much, Accord XTC, one of our members as well. And we do appreciate that. Jerry says, Super Chat. So there you go. There's Super Chat. Scarecrow just got his roll of purple from Matter 3D, and he says he can't wait to use it. I am with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. Mine's open, but I haven't printed anything with it yet. Everybody's laughing. So let me know what you guys want to talk about today, because I'm on my own. There's no answers from Brian today. So this could be a long show. Not saying that Brian's long-winded or anything, but he does try to give you the best information that he can. So we appreciate him. All right, so we got Isaac's question out of the way. Raymond Cleveland, and it's your color, LOL. Yes, it is my color. I love this color. This looks amazing. This is the purple. I am going to print with it this week. I am also including a sample of this in the mystery boxes, just so you guys know, because Matter 3D is a sponsor, so they're going to have some stuff in that mystery box. They've really helped us out with a lot of stuff, and this is one way that we can show our appreciation by getting this into more hands and trying out their product worldwide. So that's what we're trying to do. Just keep putting up questions. You just never mind. My wife giving me heck again. Isaac says he's having trouble getting prints off the bed. Isaac, if your nozzle is too close to the bed, you are definitely going to have a problem getting them off the bed. So I would go back and re-level the entire bed, starting at the front right corner, then going diagonally, or pardon me, the front left corner, then going diagonally up to the top right corner, then coming down to the bottom right corner, then diagonally up to the left top corner, and then you'll be going back to your first starting position, which is the lower left corner. If you do that, you're not going to chase that leveling on the bed around the bed. If you go diagonally, it goes much faster and it's more accurate. Accord's asking, will the live stream from M3D be the same time next weekend? Yes, it will be. It will be at 12 noon on Sunday, as it always is, Mountain Standard Time. Dominic Versetto, my biggest support issue is that tall supports tend to fall over before reaching the model. Any thoughts? What you can do is you can slow down the print. That's usually what I do when it comes to supports, is I slow them down a little bit. That way they're not doing this. The taller they are, you got to understand that the taller your support goes, the more it's going to be susceptible to wobbling as all of the axes move and as the vibrations from the bed, and they can get caught on the bottom of the nozzle and get knocked off because they're very, very thin. So what I would say to do is slow things down, especially on those supports, and those supports should go just fine and reach the top of where they need to support. Raymond Cleveland, stop saying what's in the mystery box or it won't be a mystery. Well, there's still lots of mystery stuff in there. Yes. Now I'm getting it from both sides. My brother and my wife. My wife loves my brother. I'm sad. I'm not sad. I'm glad, actually. Yeah, let's keep going here with more questions. I am the only one manning questions today, and we are going to keep going. Yeah, next week when we are in, in Victoria, it's going to be really neat because I'm spending all day there touring, filming, setting up an episode, so you guys get to see what is behind the scenes of that. Coming up next Friday and Saturday, we are releasing the Voron finally. We're going to unveil the Voron in all of its working glory, and you guys will get to see that Friday for our members, Saturday for the general public. And on Sunday, of course, we are going to be streaming live from Victoria. Now, whether I'm handling the streaming or Brian's handling it, we haven't quite figured that out yet. It all depends on Brian's schedule for next week. He may be tied up with his business, with his company that he works for. So, yeah, it could be an interesting. It might just be me with a webcam and a laptop. Who knows? But we are going to do that live stream next Sunday. Peter Reynolds, custom supports in Cura also can help give more support. That is very true. Using those custom supports can certainly help you. Dominic Versetto, what's in the box? What's in the box? Anybody know what movie that is from? Yes, the actor who said it was Matt Damon. And Samuel L. Jackson, no, it wasn't Samuel. It was Morgan Freeman in that movie. And another big actress who we find out what's in the box. What's in the box? No, this is from Seven, the movie Seven.
Okay, and
yes, it was Brad Pitt, not Matt Damon. It was Brad Pitt. You're right. Seven is the movie. Yes, correct. And what was in the box was Gwyneth Paltrow's head. I know some people might think that's great. I don't know. I just work here. I don't know anything. I just work here. So, let's talk a little bit about resin. We did last week a little bit because we're gearing up for this week. And I know many of you guys have resin printers out there. And some people are afraid to use them. They got them, but they're not quite up to speed on exactly what to do because there's a much different workflow. Now, slicing is kind of the same, but you're using different software. We are going to discuss the different softwares that are available for slicing in an upcoming video as well, so you guys will have some choices there as well. But right now we use CheetahBox, and that seems to be working really well for us, so we're not going to change anytime soon. But there is another one out there, which I do have installed, and I just have never really used it. Isaac Timmer, he says, my PLA is recently acting really brittle and snapping before I get it to support off. Now, is it snapping going into the machine, or is it snapping when you're trying to take the supports off? Because it will snap when you're taking the supports off. But if it's snapping, like if it's really brittle when you're putting it into the machine and it's breaking off, it means that the PLA has far too much humidity in it. So it has absorbed water molecules from the air, and you're going to have to dry that out. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can dry that out. One is by using a food dehydrator. The second way that you can do it, you can put it in the oven. I wouldn't. You can put it in a toaster oven. I wouldn't. I would always use some sort of dehydrator like a food dehydrator that you don't use to make jerky anymore, or banana chips or anything like that, I would use that. Set it to about 50 or 60 degrees and just let it dry out for a good 4 hours. Or if you don't have any of that, with every bag of filament that you receive, you get what's called a desiccant pack. And do I have one on my desk here anywhere? No, I cleaned up my desk, so I have nothing on it anymore, which is really weird because normally I have everything on my desk. Oh, here's one. So these are desiccant packs, and you'll find them in with your 3D printing material usually. And what I do is I save all of my packs and I put them into a Ziploc bag usually. These are just some that were kicking around the office that I just threw in that drawer. But what you can do with those is once those are in the bag, it will slowly draw the moisture out of the material. Then your material won't snap nearly as easy. So Isaac says, once the print is finished, yeah, if the print is finished, no worries. I wouldn't worry about the supports coming off being brittle because they are very, very thin. Just like these supports are very thin on this model, I can just snip these off really easily, and yeah, it's not going to leave any indentations. Now this particular model has not yet been put underneath UV light. When you're working with resin, you need to cure your models under UV light at a 405 nanometer range. So that's what's going to cure them, and we'll be showing you that in the video as well. Peter Reynolds, drugs, LOL. No, they're not drugs. Don't eat these things. God, don't ever eat these things. Because if you eat these, you could die. Yeah, don't start a TikTok eating desiccant packs, because this is poisonous. You don't want to die. Yeah, well, it's time, but yeah, that challenge is gone now. Isaac says, no, the model is snapping as I'm trying to pull the supports off, breaking the oh, you're breaking the model. Okay. What my wife said. Basically, what she said is that what she was saying was that if the part is breaking, check to see that A, you have enough walls, you have enough top and bottom layers, and you have enough infill to strengthen that. If this was printed on an FDM printer, these little claws that are on here, I don't know how well you guys will be able to see that. Get my fat head out of the way. There we go. He's got these little claws, you can see. And there's not much meat there, but you can see that I've got supports, right? So what I tend to do is, as I'm taking supports off, is I will use my snips, these guys right here, and I'll just go in along the model and I'll just snip off the areas that are closest to the model, and that usually helps. But if you are experiencing parts breaking because of the support material being adhered to the model, then you're definitely going to want to readjust your supports so that they are just barely touching the model, and make sure that you have good airflow for the PLA that you're using, and that it's not staying molten too long, because if it does, and I've seen this, is it will melt down into those supports and it'll never come off. You will break the model. You got another one there, G? Garrett says, if you eat them, that's how you get a dry personality. I thought that PLA was edible, isn't it? No, PLA is not editable or edible. edible. It is not edible. PLA has cornstarch in it, but it is not an edible plastic. Typically, it's not a food-safe plastic, but there are companies that are producing food-safe PLA, PETG, and ABS. And I'm going to say it again. It's our good friends from Matter 3D. All of their filaments right now are food-safe. They're FDA approved, so you can print things out of them and use them as cookie cutters, juicers, whatever you want to do. Alrighty. Edible? No, PLA is not edible. Don't eat it. Please don't eat it. Dominic Versetto, increase Z distance to 0.4 or so. That would be a good one to do. Yes. That's going to give you a little bit of space between those supports and the model. It'll make them taking it off very easy. But also check that you're getting adequate airflow, that your PLA is being cooled as it's coming out of that nozzle. Because if it's not, you could be running into that issue as well. And again, those walls, when I do a figure, let me see if I've got one here. I do have one on the shelf. I'm going to pull one. Just give me 1 second. So here we have a Batman statue. And the area that this one didn't use any supports, mind you, but I always try and put a thicker wall. So I'll do 3 walls, sometimes 4 walls. This only has about 15% infill in. But as I got here to the tips of his ears, I really had to slow down the machine so that these came out perfectly. Now, these have fallen off and have been glued back on, but we can also see that I had a little bit of problem. We look really, really close there. There we go. You can see I had some under extrusion in areas. And that under extrusion can be because there's something clogging my nozzle. If you only see that once in a while and at different heights, it means that there's something in that nozzle that is obstructing the flow of the molten material coming out of the nozzle. So if you are having issues whereby you're too close to the bed and you're getting that real ghosted first layer, you're too close to the bed. If you're seeing the lines that look like they're not quite filled in, remember that is because of under extrusion. And if the rest of the model looks good, but then you get this 1 or 2 lines that are fairly spaced apart, there's something in your nozzle causing a flow or restriction of the flow of materials. So you definitely want to make sure that your nozzle is cleaned out, especially when you are changing materials. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's go on to the next question, Jerry. RT. Oh, you went straight to Larry. I'll read RT's first before I read Larry's. Recommendations for a good, affordable UVA light lamp. There are several on eBay, or pardon me, not eBay. Well, you can find them on eBay, but I would go to Amazon. All I did with mine was I just 3D printed a bucket and I lined it with silver tape, the ducting tape, and then all I did was I coiled them around the inside, the string of LEDs, and plugged it in. And that's how I do all of my models. So you can buy a light on Amazon. I don't think they're that expensive. I think they're right around the $20 mark. And just make sure that you keep it away from any other open resin, or it will start to cure that resin. All right, let's go to Larry's question. Is it safe for making coffee cup from PLA and drinking out of it? Thanks again. Larry, no. The PLA, depending on the brand of PLA, will not hold the heat of hot water. It will deform that cup very, very quickly. So I would not drink out of a PLA cup unless that PLA is FDA approved. Now, the other thing you guys have to worry about is even though the material may be FDA approved, it may not be by the time it comes out of your hot end. And the reason I say that is because your hot end is not sterilized. It's had other materials going through it from time to time. So that all contributes to the non-FDA approved final results. So no, I would not put coffee into a PLA cup because of the glass transition temperature. You're going to find that cup is going to melt on you, and then you'll have coffee all over the place. If I were going to put coffee into any kind of cup, I would print it out of PETG. PETG is kind of the best of both worlds. It has the strength properties and heat resistance of ABS, and it also has the ease of print like PLA does. So if you're going to make a coffee cup, I would make it out of PETG, or wait till we put up our new coffee cups, which are coming very soon, and get one of our coffee cups. That's always a good way to do it. There you go. What's the next one, G? Got one. There it is. This is from Raymond Cleveland. Elegoo Mercury Curing Machine 405 nanometer resin curing box and light driven turntable for LCD, DPL, or DLP, SLA 3D printer models was under $80 on Amazon. So there you go. The Mercury curing machine, very good machine because it's all in one. You're going to take your model. It's got a basket that you put the model in. With your isopropyl alcohol, it's going to get all of that off there. You're going to give it a final rinse once you've taken it out, and then you're just going to put that back in there and set it to light curing, and it is very, very cool. It's something that I wish I had. I don't have one. I made my own. I was cheap. Y'all check out the Chubby Emu YouTube channel to find out what happens if you eat silica gel. Yeah, silica gel packets. Yeah, I think we're all smart enough in this group not to have to worry about that. You want some of that in your salad, honey? Okay. It could be crunchy. It'll add the crunch, he says. Wow. Okay. Andrew Osmond, you don't have to be sorry for being late. Not at all. Not at all. That light curing station that Raymond Cleveland, my brother's talking about, is Brian's got one. He uses his all the time. It works very well. I'm hoping to get one here before the end of the year if everything works out, and really do a deep dive into it, what it is, how it works, how good it is for curing your models. I kind of do mine the old-fashioned way. I have a bucket. So I use isopropyl alcohol. Okay. I also have a jewelry cleaner upstairs that I use quite often. But I use this. This is from the dollar store. This is just a Sistema Clip It pickle bottle or pickle container. It seals up really well, so your material's not going to evaporate. You don't have to use a lot of material in here. You can see that it's about half full. And all I basically do is I put my part in, I wash it, I swish it around, I pull it out. I'll take a toothbrush to it just to get into some of the smaller crevices, and then let it dry. Then I put it under my UV curing lamp or in my UV curing bucket. So, yeah. Xmas is coming with a bunch of... Yes, Xmas is coming. Yeah, we'll get each other the same thing. I think we fed each other. We had some dinner out, I think. Didn't we? I'm sure we did. We didn't. Okay. No, our Christmases, we could care less.
No,
Christmas.
Richard could care less.
Oh yeah, Jerry loves
present.
Jerry loves Christmas. So Christmas to me is just another day. It's just like my birthday. It's just another day. It is so annoying. We got about 20 minutes left. Let's get some more questions going here. I know we've got lots of people. There's 35 people watching right now. I really want your questions about 3D printing. Have I answered everything? I couldn't have answered it. I know my brother Raymond's just going to be getting started in resin printing. He has my old Wanhao D7 machine, and that's still a great machine. I love that machine. I am finding issues, however, with my Creality LD-002 or LD-002R, the 2R, where I may have to replace the main board because I've now replaced the screen on it 3 times. So that's not good. What's the best resin for printing? That's actually a really good question. There are several different resins out there. You can get water washable resin, which I've had here. I'm not a big fan of it. Water washable resin over time will split because it doesn't cure the same. I typically use Phrozen's resin. I like this stuff. It's about $42 to $45 a bottle for a liter on Amazon, and I really like it because it has very low odor. It doesn't stink very much. It's easy to use. It's fairly thin. We have other resins around here. We have some from Elegoo. I believe I've got an Elegoo, and I have a dental resin from Monicure. Monicure I find is very, very stinky, for lack of a better word. It stinks to high heaven. And I don't like the smell of it. Being a guy who has a little bit of a respiratory issue, I do not like it at all, but I have used this quite often, and I usually buy the Phrozen. This is the Aqua Green. It's fairly easy to use. It's not their ABS Aqua Green. It's just their standard resin Aqua Green. It's fairly soft, as we can see here. I can bend those. It's fairly soft, so once you put it underneath UV light, it does cure a lot harder, and it becomes not nearly as brittle as you would think. But it's great for miniatures. And this is for a game called Horror. This is the medieval version of Freddy Krueger. So the best resin, getting back to my point, I think for me the best resin is the Phrozen. It has very low odor. It prints really well all the time, and I think that's definitely the way to go. Accord XTC, let's hit that like button. To those who haven't, show FTL the love, or TFL the love. I don't even know my own initials anymore. You can tell it's been one of those days. Any recommendations for upgrading E3 with a metal hot end? Dennis Kelly. Dennis, the only hot end I would put on an E3 or an Ender 3 would be the Micro Swiss all metal upgrade hot end. It looks almost identical to this, only it's all stainless steel and silver. Or aluminum, pardon me, and stainless steel. So I would go that route. Really like theirs. In theirs, the tube, the Bowden tube, only comes down about that far. Just enough to lock it into place, and the rest of the throat is all machined so that if you're going to get any clogs, you're going to get those clogs usually down at the bottom because of material you may be using. But I have not experienced a clog on any of the ones that I have, and I've been running them now for almost 4 years. So that's the all-metal upgrade for the Ender 3. Jamie Santiago, he says, what would you recommend as a step up from the Ender 3 printer in the size of 300 by 300? I would definitely go with a Creality CR-10. That would be my first choice. I always liked that printer. It prints well right out of the box. There's very little you have to do to it. You can get the model with or without auto bed leveling. I would recommend that you get the auto bed leveling because the price difference is negligible. The CR10 would probably be my first choice for any printer above the 200. Yeah, Ender 3, or pardon me, CR10 for sure. Andrew Osmond, I have Creality PLA that won't print on either of my Enders. It won't print because it's not going through or because there's too much moisture in it. I have noticed that the PLA that Creality uses, they actually use, if I'm not mistaken, they were at one time using Sunlu's PLA, and I think they switched to another company, but it could be because there's too much moisture in that Creality PLA. And that's usually the problem. I always say go for a better brand of PLA or a better brand of any material that you're going to go through. You are going to pay a little bit more for it, but at the end of the day, you're going to get a much better product that won't absorb water nearly as badly. Now, this has been sitting out here for weeks now without being in a bag, and this is PLA. And I can tell you from my own experience that it's not brittle at all. So that's something that I would check on. Next, Jerry. I have the red resin from Creality that won't print on any of my machines, which are both Enders. It clogs my nozzle on both machines. What could be wrong? Well, as I mentioned, it could be a bad batch of material. It could have too much moisture in the material. Secondly, on your Ender 3, you have a nozzle assembly like this. This center tube is open from here all the way down to where the nozzle meets that throat. And when I know what he's talking about, let me finish. Women. So what's happening is that tube that goes all the way down to this area probably has flaked off a little bit and is stuck inside the nozzle and won't burn out of there. So that could be another one of the issues, but I would probably say first and foremost that it's got too much water in it, Andrew. Next. Richard, is there a difference in painting FDM prints versus resin prints? Yes and no. That's kind of a loaded question because when you're painting this stuff, you're going to do a lot more filling. Even if you're going to do a lot more sanding, you're going to do a lot more filling. But the paints that you use on this can also be used on this. So when we look at this sample one that I did a while back, this is resin. This is the aqua blue resin, and I've used the same paints on this that I use on all my models, which is a mixture of Liquitex, Vallejo, and a few other brands of paints that I like to use. And you can see that the paint stays on really, really well. So yes, there is no real difference in painting unless you're using enamels, which will deform the plastic. Don't use enamels. Always use a water-based acrylic paint. Next. Yep. Get right in there. A Snapshot FPV says, at Dennis Kelly, I put one on my Ender 3 Bowden tube. Didn't fit exactly, but did work. Now, I'm not sure exactly what he did there, but on your Bowden tubes, when you get your printers, you get these little tiny clips. They're either red or blue, and those clips stop the Bowden tube from moving up and down as it's retracting and pushing more material in. So they lock those teeth in around that Bowden tube, so you don't get that movement. If you're seeing that movement, that means that one, the tube has not been inserted correctly all the way up to where it stops, and then that clip being pushed in. And 2, that you may not be using the right size Bowden tube. Now, I know that the Capricorn dark, or not the opaque stuff, but the dark blue Capricorn, which is made more for using with flexibles because it has a smaller inner diameter. It also has a smaller outer diameter, so sometimes it just doesn't quite fit. But if you go to the other one, which is still a high flow tube, now it's a lighter blue and you can almost see through it. That one is the same diameter as regular Bowden tube and will fit perfectly in any machine that uses a Bowden setup. So there we go. Look at that. All right, so we're coming up into our last 10 minutes of the show. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe if you're new here. If you want to become a member, go ahead, hit that join button down below. It helps the channel quite a bit. Get yourself some t-shirts. We still have some t-shirts in stock from medium all the way through to XXL. If you need a bigger shirt than that, please let me know. And you can just send your requests to richard@thefirstlayer.com, richard@thefirstlayer.com, and that will get my attention, and I will let you know. Just put shirts in the subject line. For our locals here in Calgary, for you guys that are looking for some of the Matter 3D stuff, I still have some in stock. And I've pre-ordered some purple, so I've got some people that are getting purple here next week. So there we go. A Snapshot FPV, you had a great little thing here. He says, all metal hot end on my Ender. My Bowden tube was Capricorn, smaller diameter, responding to Dennis. Okay, yeah. You've got the really blue stuff, which is just a little bit of a smaller diameter on the outside and on the inside. It's still great stuff, but again, if you use those clips, you should be able to avoid that. Once again, I want to say congratulations to Ben E. Brady, who will be receiving our first mystery box, and I know he'll take pictures and wear his shirt proudly. So there we go. Yeah, you got to use those clips, because if you don't use those clips, you could be in for a world of trouble. Now, as far as, okay, what do we got here? Didn't realize Capricorn has different ODs and IDs. Yes. The light blue stuff, which I used to have some down here, but we cleaned up and I took it away. Let's see if I still have some down here. Probably not. It's gone. Yeah. The dark blue is their smaller inner diameter and smaller outer diameter. And the see-through or the opaque blue, the lighter blue, is the same inner and outer diameter as regular Bowden tube. DeWitt, are you tell us what else is in the... No, I'm not going to tell you what else is in the mystery box. Capricorn XS. Yes. And then there's X, or there's LS. LS and XS, I believe, are the two. But you can look that up. Yeah, the XS is the dark blue stuff. I don't use that very often anymore. Do I even have a machine down here that's got any on it? No, I don't. The tubing, the Capricorn tubing, Bowden tube. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't bought any for a while. So yeah, I don't often change my tubes. It all comes down to when you're setting up your machine and setting it up properly. Now, the white Bowden tube, the really cheap stuff you can get just about anywhere. I think they sell it for like $4 to $7 a meter, somewhere in there. I think you can get it even cheaper than that at some places. But that Capricorn tube is, yes, it's Teflon, but it doesn't have a very high heat rating. So when you're printing at those upper temperatures of 120, 130, 140, 145 degrees, depending on the material you're using, you are going to find over time that it will break down. Now, the glass transition temperature of it escapes me at the moment, but it is quite high. But over time, it will wear because you're running material through there. So it will wear. And the more that it heats up and cools down, it's going to dry it out a little bit. So you're going to get little flakes, just like you would see on your Teflon pan after a while. You'll notice that if you've used it for any length of time, there'll be little minor scratches in there, and little pieces may have flaked off. They are poisonous, so don't put them in your food. But yes, if you see that, that's going to be something to pay attention to on those Bowden tubes. Snapshot FPV says, I started to use Blue Capricorn for flexibles because it restricts space inside and keeps flexibles moving. Yes, it does. The Capricorn XS material, which is the darker blue, has an inner diameter of 1.85, I believe, or 1.9. So your 1.75 material that you're putting through there is very, very restricted. So when it comes to flexibles, it keeps it moving because flexibles, as you know, you can bend 6 ways from Sunday. But when it comes to rigid materials like PLA, PETG, ABS, things like that, you're going to find that it is going to sometimes get stuck in there. And the reason that it gets stuck is because the manufacturer wasn't diligent enough to make sure that they're within that range that they keep saying that they're in. And I found that especially with Sunlu filament, that they say it's got a minus or plus 0.02, a 20 micron difference. And I found that to be completely false when it's closer to 0.7. So it's going up to 700 microns as opposed to 20 microns. So be aware of that. Andrew Osmond, he says, I cleaned my hot end and did the hot end fix shown by Shep and will try to dry my PLA in the food dehydrator for this. How long should I dry it? I would dry it for about 4 to 5 hours at about 50 degrees centigrade or Celsius. That's what I would do. Dominic says, do patrons get to find out what's in the mystery box? No. Only if you did. Jerry says, only if you never want to win. I can't tell anybody what's in the mystery box because it gets out online so fast. What you're getting. And when Ben gets his, I hope that he takes pictures of some of the stuff that's in there and tries some of the stuff that's in there and has fun with some of the stuff that's in there. So. Ben says a real problem is the temperature that it starts off gassing at 260 C. Yeah, when you're using Teflon and it starts to off gas, it's going to stink. And if you're printing at 260 C, yeah, you're going to need a higher temperature Bowden tube anyway. Well, that's pretty much winding things up. My mouth is not working today. I'm going to go up and have something to eat and drink, so maybe my mouth will work. And I'll get finishing up the video that will be out tomorrow for our members, all on getting you started with resin. And then it'll be released on Tuesday for everybody else. Brand new episode also dropping on Friday, which will be our look at the Voron. And you guys will get to see that. So I really hope that you guys got something out of today. If you did, please leave a like if you haven't already. And by all means, please put a comment in after this stream ends down in the comment section, because it really goes to helping our metrics and helping our channel get seen by more people. And then the sooner we get to 30,000, the better off we're going to be. So I'm really looking forward to that. I have a goal of trying to hit that before the end of the year. You're very welcome, Larry. You are very welcome. With that said, my friends, I don't have Brian here to close us out, so I'm going to close this out. Remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print, and we are going to see you guys next week when we are live in Victoria. So till we see you, have yourselves a great week, and keep printing.